Hey there, welcome. My name is Krista Lugo with Asset Panda, and thanks for joining me today. I am excited to talk with you all about the newest feature that Asset Panda just pushed for you all, the new audit feature. So what we wanted to do today is have a detailed workshop with our product expert, Mary Chau, to take us through the new audit feature on a kind of a deep dive on all of the how-to details of this new functionality. So thanks again for joining us today. A few things that I wanted to talk with you about before we dive into the actual training course itself is the tiles that you see on the webinar software here. So a few things to note. There's a media player there. We are going to be bringing you some video content and actually walking you through this product functionality. So make sure that you're able to see those. The next one is that resources section. There's some great information there for you, available to you. Some ebooks there, as well as a link to our Bamboo Facebook crew. That's a great place to go and talk with other Asset Panda users and get some ideas on how they're using the product and just kind of collaborate there in that space. One of the links that's not on there, because you can only access it through your Asset Panda account, is the Asset Panda knowledge base. I want to highly encourage you to make sure that you're going to that support tab in your Asset Panda account and looking through all of the content there. So there's just a wealth of knowledge in the knowledge base to help you navigate certain features, use cases, and so forth. So please go ahead and make sure that you're taking a peek there, and otherwise we're ready to jump in. Awesome. So today's takeaways. Here's what we're hoping you walk away from this training session with today. First and foremost, an understanding on how to create a new audit in the new audit tool. And Mary is going to take us through each one of these things today. The next one is learning how to manage audits that are assigned to multiple users, how to navigate those and make sure that you're considering user permissions and so forth as you move through creating and performing an audit. The next one is a walkthrough of actually performing the audit. So we're going to demonstrate some mobile usage to you today and what that looks like and feels like on the mobile app as you're going through and actually scanning items. And the last one is the understanding the audit results. So what are we looking at once we've completed an audit? How is it displayed to us? How can you derive next steps? And maybe what items were missing versus which items were found, and just a demonstration of what that looks like to you. So those are, again, the things that we want you to take away from today's meeting. If you do have other things that you want to see and questions, we obviously want to be able to support you in that, and we want you to be vocal with us. Reach out to support@assetpanda.com and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Mary now to take us through the demonstration and the actual product training.
Hi, so here I'm in my sample account. Although this account is going to be a school district, you can apply this across multiple different industries. So here, all of my assets live under my assets group, and here's a listing of it. Even though my location's a school, you could think of this as a job site, your different buildings that you have, different locations, it doesn't matter. And then my people group are split into two. I have employees and students. To access audits, we'll go to the main menu bar up here, go to Tools and Audit. Once it loads in, because I don't have any audits yet, it's just a blank screen. I can create audit with this blue button here or with this create audit button up on the upper right hand side. Just go ahead and select it, and then we'll go in and create an audit. So here, even though it's auto-filled, we can just go in and change the name if needed. So I'm just going to go ahead and rename this audit sample. My audit method is going to be barcode scanning, but I can change it to manually enter ID or prompt each time. And it doesn't matter, because if I have it at barcode scan, and let's say, for example, my barcode is scratched off, that's completely fine. I'll be able to swap it to manually enter the the barcode ID. And then here the start date is today, but if wanted, I can change it to a future date. And then we have due date. So if you have a hard stop date on when your audit needs to be done by, go ahead and fill in that due date. And then if you just want your users to know it's due at the end of the month, but you still, if it meets that date and you still want users to scan, that's completely fine. We'll just allow scanning after due date. And so the users can still keep on performing the audit and it will move the audit from open status to closed status. So I'll just say that it's due by the end of the month, but if needed, you can just continue to scan the item. And then we have a due soon notification. So 3 days before the 30th, I'll be notified to be able to I'll be notified that the audit is due soon. And then the other really nice thing is set your audits on reoccurrence. So right now, this is just a one-time audit. Once I perform this audit, that's and close it, that's it. It doesn't reoccur, anything like that. But if you want it to reoccur, so let's say every month, 2 weeks before the month ends, your users have to go in and audit the items again. What we can do is just turn on the reoccurrence, and we can say if it repeats every month, every 2 months, every 6 months, whatever you like. Also, you can change it to yearly. And then other than that, you can say if it stops after a certain amount of occurrences, so after 10 times, this audit would never happen again. Or you can say it never stops. And so every month it will happen over and over and over again. So it's really up to you and if you want a reoccurrence or not. But audits will appear just means that because it's on a scheduler, when do you want to let the users know that the audit is coming up? So it's just in their radar. We can have it appear 7 days before, the day of, whatever you prefer, but all it will show is the actual audit, and then it will say scheduled rather than open. So they wouldn't be able to perform the audit until the start date, but it'll just be in their radar. I'm just going to go ahead and turn off reoccurrence because I'm just going to say this is a one-time audit. And then from there, we have record GPS location. So if your users have their GPS location services on the mobile app, it'll be able to record where they are. So then you can know exactly where this item was scanned since we take the GPS coordinates. And then do we want to allow the users to see the asset details after each scan? If you want them to, go ahead and check that. I'm going to uncheck it. So all I want them to do is just keep scanning items. Let's go ahead and hit the next button and go in about to define our groups. So whenever you're auditing, we have to know what you're auditing against. Are we auditing against your assets group, your equipments group? You might have multiple different groups, your trucks group. So here, I'm just going to say I'm auditing my assets group because everything lives in there. And then we have display field. So your display field is going to be what is the information that's shown in the burn down list of the audit. So this can be the unique identifier. So the asset tag, the barcode, the serial number, the description. This is not the value that you actually have to scan for it to be able to audit that item. It's just to let your users know what they're looking for. So here, I'm just going to select the description. So my users know exactly what they're looking for, because if I just show the barcode, they might not exactly know. And then from there, I can filter. So right now, when I added in this group, I'm saying that it's going to audit everything in that group, whether you have 500 assets or 10,000 assets. It's including everything. So what we want to do is just filter it down. So I'm just going to say, let's just filter everything that's considered a Chromebook, because I'm a school district and I assign these out to students. I need to see if they came back. And you can definitely filter down even more, not just by category. You can filter by any list or group list or status field, and then you can select more than one value in each group listing. I'm just going to select category. But next up is automatically update fields. So what this will do is whenever your users scan an item, it's automatically going to update that record's value, whatever you choose it to. So because I'm scanning category, I can say I'm starting off and I want to update the categories. Just in case whatever they scan, the category field isn't already filled in, I can have it automatically update to that value. So whatever they scan, now the asset will also change to make sure the category is like Chromebook. This is, if you want any automatically update fields, you don't have to turn this on. It's just whenever they scan, you want the value to change whatever you input into here. And then next, allowing users to update fields or edit fields. This is going to be allowing users to change whatever values if they have the permission. So let's say, for example, let's go into here. Let's see what field is a good one. Let's say, for example, brand. So whenever you added in the records, let's say some of the times you might have skipped the brand and that value isn't filled in. So you want the user to be able to edit and fill in the brand if it was blank. So you'll allow your users to do that. If they don't choose to update the field, no harm, no foul. It just won't update the record. But if they want to, they'll be allowed to. And this is based upon user permission, so they will need the options to edit. Other than that, if all of your burn down list and what you're auditing against looks good, go ahead and hit next and go to the third step. This is assigning users to the audit. So something that's new is that you're going to be able to assign users audits. So before anyone could audit, could go into any audit and start performing whatever on it. So this one is more controlled. So if you only want your basic users or your users in one location to be able to audit this, other users will not be able to see this audit. So if I only assigned it to myself, my manager can't go in and see the audit and perform the audit unless she goes in and edit it and assign it to herself too. So here, whenever you go in, it automatically defaults to yourself, but you can just unselect and select a certain user, select all. And if you have thousands of users and you don't want to go in and select them one by one, that's completely fine. We can just go to the user templates tab and select. So here I only have 2 user templates, but let's say I want all of my managers to be able to form this and my basic users. So you'll be able to either assigned by individual users or by templates. And they'll, whoever you select in templates, if you switch over to assigned users, you'll see them selected too. So you know exactly who is assigned to this audit. And then the next thing is assign emails. So whenever your audit is completed and you hit finish audit and it moves it to close, it will email an audit summary. So who do you want this email to send to? So of course, because you created the audit, it's always going to assign it to you. But if you also want the users who are performing the audit to receive a summary, you can select them too. And then another important thing about assigned audits is individual audits. So since this is toggled off, this audit is seen as a group audit. So my basic user and my tech managers, they're going to be performing this audit together. So they'll scan whatever, and once they're done, only one person will select the finish audit button, and when they go in and they finish the audit, it will move this particular audit, so audit sample, to the closed status for everyone assigned to this audit. So if I do turn on individual audit, what this does is it looks at the user's permissions. So let's say, for example, my basic user can only see assets assigned to them. So when I created this audit, because I didn't filter it to just them, I just filter it to just Chromebooks, they'll only be able to see their assets, and they'll be able to scan against those. And then when they hit finish, it will only finish and close out the audit for them. But then my tech manager and myself, I will still need to perform the audit and hit that and select that finish audit button myself. And I know this is a little bit confusing, but we'll go in when we actually perform the audit. I'll show you what this exactly means. But after you sign your audit, and then I'm just going to go ahead and toggle this off for now. So let's you assigned your audit and assigned whoever to receive the email, just hit the next button to go to summary. So this is a summary of everything. If anything looks wrong and you want to make an update to to any of these, just go back into that particular step. These buttons up here are clickable, or the steps up here are clickable. And then you can make whatever necessary changes. But otherwise, if everything else looks good, just hit that green Create Audit button. And once it's done creating, it will refresh. Now you can see this audit here. And as you can see, whenever you create an audit and it reaches the start date, it will say new. There's this new pill next to the audit name, and the status shows open. And then you have 3 different statuses, so the open, scheduled, and closed. And then it'll show you who it's assigned to, how many objects have to be scanned, and the start and due date. So let's go in and actually perform this audit. Okay, so I've mirrored my phone. I am currently using an iOS device, and our app is also available for Androids. But here, as you can see, I'm in my Assets group. What I'm going to do to access my audits is go to the main menu bar, go down, and if Tools isn't expanded, just tap it to expand, and then here you'll see Audits. Because I'm an admin, and I'm also I have permissions to create audits and perform audits, I see 3 different tabs. So all audits are going to be all audits existing in my account. My audits are going to be audits assigned to me, and then templates are going to be audits on a reoccurrence. If you need to make changes to an audit template, because it's recurrence and it creates duplicate templates on that timed basis, it will create a template, and then you'll be able to make changes, so you don't have to make changes to each audit as they pop up. Once you make changes to the template, it will apply to all ongoing audits, sorry. But let's just pop over to my audits. And because I created this audit sample, I need to go ahead and start performing it. So here, I'll just tap into that audit, and then it will show me my progress bar. So here, as you can see, I have completed 0 of 16 tasks. So I have 16 items, or assets, I have to scan. And they all show up under my open because they're all not scanned yet. As I audit them, they will move over to the completed tab, and then my all task will show me whether if it's been audited or not. It will just give me a full running list. But to go ahead and start auditing, because we made a barcode scan, it will be a barcode icon on the lower right hand side. This will open up my camera, and then here I can actually start scanning my barcode. So let me just scan the first item. And as you can see, it shows that it was scanned. And then here, because we allow the users to update the brand if needed, they can go ahead and update that. I, as a company admin, have the permissions to edit a record, so I can make changes to this brand field. And it's already filled out, so I can hit save or cancel, but if it was blanked out and I want to fill it in, I just tap into there and make changes and hit save. But otherwise, that looked good for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel. And then I'll go ahead and scan my next item. That looks good. Let's just hit the back button real quick so I can show you that it moved. So here, as you can see, the progress bar now shows 2 of 16 items. And here, this should only show 14 items. Going over to my completed tab, it shows that I have 2 completed. Switching over to all task, you can see 2 are the status of your assets, whether they've been audited or not. So let's go ahead and hit the barcode icon again. And then here, since I'm here, I can scan my items. Let's say, for example, this one of my Chromebooks, the barcode is unreadable. I try scanning it and it won't enter in at all. What I can do is on the upper right-hand side, there's this little pencil icon. What that does is you can manually enter in your barcode ID. So here, I'll just tap that, and then it'll ask me to enter in my unique identifier. On iOS, even though it says serial number, you do not have to enter in the serial number. This is any field that's considered barcode scannable. So whether it's your asset tag, your barcode, your serial number, whatever it is, that's that unique identifier to identify that particular asset, that's what you'll type in. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and write down the identifying code. So I type that out, go ahead and hit continue. And it found the item. So what I can do is just hit cancel, and it's been audited. So here, as you can see, it moved to completed. So let's go in and scan an item that shouldn't belong within this audit parameter. So here it asks me if I want to add this item. It doesn't meet the requirements of the audit. So because we said we were only auditing Chromebooks, this must not be a Chromebook. So do I want to add it to the audit or remove it? So let's just say, for example, I want to add it. I'm just going to hit this, tap the add button, and then I can enter in a comment. If I want to, I can start typing in and entering in a comment. If not, just go ahead and hit save. But here I will leave a comment. And hit save. So it's an HTC, so this was a phone. That's why I didn't meet the audit requirements. So whatever you're auditing against, let's say location, and it didn't meet the requirements of that location, but you still want it to be part of the audit, you can go ahead and fill that in. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And so now it's part of my item. And then another example, we'll go ahead and scan, is an item that doesn't exist in the database at all. It doesn't exist in your group. So here, do I want to add it to my assets group? Do I just want to include it in my audit, or do I want to remove it completely? So adding item, your users will have to have permissions to add in that group to be able to add it. Otherwise, all they'll see is just leave, comment, or remove. But if you want to go ahead and add the item, you just hit add item, and then you can fill out the information. But let's just go back, and let's say I'm done. Even though this is assigned to everyone, this is not an individual audit. So here, I'll go and select Finish. And as you can see, these are the items that I have completed. If I switch over to Unlisted, these are items that were not part of my audit parameters. And again, I have that comment. If I need to make changes to it, I can, just tapping into that line item. But otherwise, if it all looks good, I'll select Finish. I can leave additional comments if needed. And then hit Finish Audit again. So because it's not an individual audit, it's going to move this audit closed to all of my users. So if this is a group audit and you are truly finished, go ahead and select that Finish button. But if you have to scan over a certain amount of days or whatever, whenever you're done auditing for that day, don't hit Finish Audit. Just exit out of the app or exit out of that particular tool and go back into your assets group. The Finish Audit button is not is for truly actually closing out your audit. But here I confirm we scanned all the items. We couldn't find the other 12 items. I'm just going to go ahead and hit Finish Audit. And as you can see, it was the open audit, and now it has moved it to close. So let's log out and go to one of my other users. So I'm just going to go into my basic user. This is a user who doesn't have permission to create or edit audits. As you can see, all they have is just their My Audits. And here, it was moved to the Closed tab. So the audit is also closed for them. If it was individual, if the individual was turned on because I closed the audit just for myself as this basic user, it will still show open. So they will need to go in and scan their portion of the audit. Another thing to mention on mobile, you can also create audits from here. So let's go ahead and go back into this admin account. Okay, so back in my admin account, I can create audits two ways. So again, it's just from your main menu and then going to Tools and then selecting that audit. I have this plus sign on the lower right-hand side to create the audit. But another great thing is you can create audits in any group. So let's go ahead and just go back into my assets group. Here are my asset listing. I'll select the plus sign, and here it'll ask me if I want to add an asset or actually add an audit. When I select audit, the great thing about this is that since it knows you're in the assets group, you won't have to select what group you're auditing. It will automatically have it there for you. So if you're auditing everything and you want to go and just make a very quick, easy audit, it'll be available. All you have to do is just filter down your asset listing if needed. And then the assign to is always yourself. So if you want to assign it to other people, you can include there. Or you can go, and then also in advanced options, do all of the additional audit enhancements. So, or audit details. So whether you want to record GPS, you want to automatically update fields, allow users to edit fields, anything like that. But from there, you can just go ahead and hit Start Audit, and it will go in and create the start ready for you to start performing the audit. Or if you're not ready yet, you can just create it. But that is how to perform and create audits. All right, so let's go back into audits on web just to get an overview. So if I go into Tools, Audit, I can see now that the audit is closed. When I click into this, this will give me a quick preview of the details of my audit and my audit items. I'm just going to go ahead and expand it to bring me to give me a full view of the audit. So here I can see items that have been scanned versus items that haven't. I can see whether they were actually scanned by the barcode or if someone manually entered it in. And then if so this is all items within my parameters. Anything outside, I'll just go over to unlisted. And here I can see the comments that the user left, what they entered in, when it was scanned, who it was scanned by. And then here it was 4 out of 16 items. And it shows one item that was newly created, added into the account. So this is just a quick, it was just an overview. And then when I hit that finish audit, it emailed me the report. And then if need to, I can just always download a PDF or Excel of the report here. But that is just a quick summary of your audits. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mary, thank you so much for taking us through the audit tool and the how-tos and all of that good stuff. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you and your expertise today. Now I'm going to turn it over to our audience here for a live Q&A. We've gotten a lot of great questions throughout the presentation. We're going to go ahead and answer a bunch of those for you right now. Hey there, thanks again so much, Mary. So I wanted to jump into a few questions that some of our clients asked as we went through the presentation, as mentioned. And the first one, I think, is an interesting question about visibility. So, Mary, the first question I think that we had here that we should address is, can we have the option to see more than just one field showing?
And yes, so as of right now, if you don't allow users to view asset details after each scan, it will only show them the barcode or the field that they are scanning, and then the fields that you allow them to edit. So if you want them to be able to see all of the fields and be able to just take a quick look to make sure that all of the information is correct, you'll want to make that check mark to allow scanning to show asset details after each scan. And that's going to be in the first step under record GPS location.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So and somebody else had a feature request for us and wants to see weekly audits. So thanks for that commentary. What we also want to do here is make sure that we're gathering information about additional items that you'd like to see and how you'd like for it to function. So your feedback is our inspiration for all of our product enhancements, so please continue to keep those coming. Yeah,
And then we had another question that asked what notifications are sent outside of Asset Panda. So the notifications that you received for audits are going to be shown in your notification panel, which is in Asset Panda, and as well as emails. So you'll receive that an audit has been assigned to you if you're part of the assignee. And then you will also receive if it's due soon. And then when you actually close out the audit, you'll receive the summary too.
Great, thank you for that.
And then the other thing is, something that I didn't mention in earlier was that if it's an individual audit, whenever you go on web and you expand the audit to the full view size, you'll see in the assigned to window that there's dots next to each user. So if it's red, that means they haven't completed their audit yet. And then if it's green, they closed out their audit. They finished it.
Great. And then, Mary, I think there was a confirmation question here about monthly being the shortest recurrence time period.
Yes. So as of right now, 1 month is the shortest that we have. And like Krista said earlier, we had a feature request for weekly audits. So that's something that we will definitely submit and then take into consideration.
Great. Under the audit, do we also see the changes done on that particular asset? So if you're under the audit section, where we see the particular changes, a lot of changes can be seen afterward on the audit reports as well. So if we went into the corresponding reports, we would be able to see the changes made to that item in the audit reporting section.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. So when you're in the audit and you're viewing the audit full details, and so the full page of the audit, if you click on that line item, you'll get a little pop-up. And then if your users left a comment, you'll see the comments, and then you'll see all the change fields, what was changed, what the value was, and what it was changed to.
I think we have another one here regarding the same thing, Mary, about making changes to several fields as part of your audit, not just one field. Mm-hmm. Can you confirm that for our audience here?
Of course. You can change more than one field. So there's two options as I showed earlier. You can always, as the user who creates the audit, you can have it automatically update. So let's say we didn't put any filters on our audit, and you are scanning within one location right now. So let's say your headquarters, and you want all the records that you're auditing to show up as location like headquarters. So you can have that automatically update. So as a user is scanning, that field value, if it was any other location, it will update to headquarters. And then the other thing is to allow users to update fields. So because you're not auditing just one particular location, you want them to select what location they're in. If they have permissions to do so, they'll be able to make that change. And then you can select multiple fields. So if you want them to be able to edit everything in the asset record, then just check them all.
Great. Here's a good question here about the audit getting archived. So does the audit get archived for referencing back later in time?
Yeah, so your audits will not go away. All it does is it just moves your audits from open to closed if you finish out your audit. And then if you go into a particular asset record, there's a tab below called Audit History. And you can see all the times that the item has been audited, who it was audited by, the audit date, and then what the audit name was.
Great, thank you. Mary, is there a way to reopen an audit? I see a great question here. The audit may be done over several days. How do you potentially close it and then come back again?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is, let's say you have to audit your entire company's assets. So this isn't something you can do within one day. It's going to take possibly weeks. And that's completely fine. Don't hit that finish audit button. As I mentioned earlier, finish audit is to move the status from open to close, and you will not be able to reopen it or to scan items anymore. Once it's in the closed status, that is it. So if you're done auditing for the day, then just exit out of the app, exit out of that audit. That's you don't have to hit that finish audit button. The finish audit button is only for if you're truly ready to close out the audit. And that's something in the next phase that we're working on, is actually having the ability for admin users to go in and open up a closed audit. So if one of your users accidentally closed it out, that's completely fine. In the next phase, we're allowing admins to reopen the audit.
I think there's another question here. If the field is changed during an audit, will that change up in the asset history? And I think, Mary, this is a blended question that we kind of answered probably before, right as this one was coming in. So you should be able to see all the audit history in the asset record itself in the tabs at the bottom of the screen where you have changes, action history. You'll also have that audit history tab there as well. Mary, so we have another great question about the unlisted items in the audit tab. What do those represent?
Yeah, so that's really great. So if you narrow down your audit to only audit a certain thing, so whether it's a location, whether it's only a certain type of asset, whatever it is, if you scan anything outside of the audit parameters, so outside of what you initially set it for, it's going to show up under unlisted. So like in what I showed earlier, I was only auditing Chromebooks, but then when I scanned that one item where it asked me if I wanted to include it in my audit or remove, it was actually a network switch. So it's obviously not a Chromebook, but for some reason when I accidentally scanned the item or whatever, so I can either remove it, or if I do add it in, it's just going to let the user who created the audit know that because I only had 16 items and I scanned, for example, 17 items, this one item didn't meet the parameters. And that's the same thing. If you scan an item that didn't exist in your database and you add it to your audit, it's going to show up in unlisted because it wasn't part of the audit when it was created. It was added in later.
Great, thank you for that. If I scan something that someone else is assigned to, does it allow me to audit that?
Yeah, of course. So it depends on your user permissions and what you can and can't do. So if you turn on individual audit and let's say I was assigned that asset, but I let you borrow it and you never gave it back to me, if you scan the item, it's going to allow you to scan it and then move it to completed. And on my end, it'll show me that that item is audited. So what you'll have to do on your end, because it didn't belong to you, you'll have to comment to say that it was in your possession.
Okay, great. Mary, are we able to see multiple display fields when creating the audit, or is it only one display field?
Yeah, so as of right now, it's one display field, and we've had a lot of great feedback. So yes, we'll definitely submit this as a feature request to be able to select more than just one field.
Great. Can an action be performed on an asset found during an audit? This is an interesting question.
Yeah, so the way that we built audit is just strictly for auditing, knowing what you physically found versus what you haven't. So as of right now, no, you're only able to audit the items, and you will not be able to perform an action against it.
While you're in the audit.
Yeah, while you're in the audit pool.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can I undo if I scan something in error?
So that's a good question. If the item is part of your audit, you're not going to be able to undo it. So once it's scanned forever. It's going to be part of that audit. But if you scan something that's outside of the audit parameters, like you saw, it'll ask me if I want to include it in my audit or remove it. So if you accidentally scanned it and it wasn't supposed to be, you can hit remove and it won't include it part of the audit.
Thank you. Someone has a question here. My department is required to perform an audit for the entire company every year. So I want to have to assign an audit every month or year. Mary, here would you recommend that we use the recurrence feature?
Yes. So if you have to perform the audit every year and you just want to segment it by departments monthly, just go ahead and create just each department's audits and then set it on a reoccurrence for every year. And then that way you don't even have to think about it. It's just whenever it's upcoming on that date, the audit will pop up for the assignees to let them know it's scheduled. And then when it reaches the start date, they'll be able to start going in and auditing the item.
And prior to that notification popping up and the recurrence, if I wanted to change the assignee, I could just go into the scheduled audit and modify the assignee there?
Correct. So anything that's on a template, you will be able to modify and have it affect all future audits. If you only want to modify that particular audit, then you'll just go to the audit tab rather than the template tab. And same thing, so if it's on a reoccurrence and you set it for the beginning of May and you want to change the date for just that audit, you can definitely go into just that one audit to make changes and not affect anything else.
Great, thank you. Can you merge two separate audits, or do you need to create a new one?
So as of right now, we cannot merge audits together. What you can do is, if you created two audits and you haven't started auditing yet, you can edit the audit to include both parameters. But if you already started scanning on them, you wouldn't be able to combine them because just because of the parameters, there could be some data loss. You would have to create a new one.
Great. After you completed the audit and the assets, is there a way to see that it was audited?
Yes. So most definitely, when you go into the audit tool and you click on the audit, whether you're on web or on mobile, you'll get an audit summary. So anything that hasn't been scanned, it will still show up as not scanned. And then anything that has been will fall under the scanned or manual status. And then it'll be on web, if you're looking, it's a different color. It's green. So anything that you see with a green pill, that means the item has been audited. Anything that hasn't will still show as a gray pill, not scanned. And then same thing in your audit summary report. It gives you a summary of everything that has and hasn't been scanned. So you'll know the exact status of a particular asset, whether it's scanned or not.
Great, thank you. Someone here is asking, obviously, about some of these additional exciting features that are coming up that we're kind of alluded to here in today's presentation, and about the timing on those. We will definitely continue to provide updates as we go through and enhance some of these, the existing audit and some of the features that are coming. So we've got your name here. We'll be sure to reach out and let you know, and then obviously to our entire existing customer base will be forthcoming with updates as well. Awesome. So Mary, thank you so much again. I know that there are quite a few questions here. If there was a question that we did not hit on, we are going to go through and scrub these and make sure that every single one of these gets answered and responded to. Please know that you can also reach out to us directly at support@assetpanda.com. We want to hear all of your questions, your feature requests, your feedback, and anything that you want to talk to us. We're happy to hear from you all, and we appreciate you joining us today. We hope this was helpful. Please look out for more upcoming training sessions and webinars as we continue to bring you new features. So thanks again so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.